I want to talk a little bit about the short-term plans for this channel and to introduce a new series that's going to run as an adjunct to the recreational cryptography series. Before we start, I do have to apologize. We're still in the linen closet and I don't have a budget for a teleprompter, so I'm using notes. Right now, the videos have two parts. The first is the introduction of the encryption and decryption steps for each cipher type. The second covers the methods for solving that cipher type. The episode numbering is going to be episode number for encryption and decryption and episode number S for the solving video. The second video shows the methods for solving the ciphers that are introduced in the main video, mainly for a manual paper and pencil approach, but also introducing the weaknesses for each cipher type that can be attacked with a software approach as well. The transposition ciphers are going to be relatively short videos, mainly because the solving portion is used brute force. When we get into substitution ciphers, then there's going to be a lot more to cover, especially when we get to Visionaire, which could be like 4 or 5 videos just on that one subject. I want to add a third part. I'm fascinated by the history of cryptography as well as the use of ciphers in fiction. I'm pretty sure everyone knows Edgar Allan Poe's The Gold Bug, which came out in 1843. And of course, there's Sherlock Holmes's The Dancing Men. But there was a growing interest in cryptography at the turn of the 1850s that continued up into about the 1840s with a real boom at the end of the century. Honoré de Balzac followed Poe with complete works in 1846. William Makepeace Thackeray published The History of Henry Esmond in 1852. Jane Goodwin Austen released Cipher, a Romance in 1869. And James DeMille published The Cryptogram in 1871. This was followed by Jules Verne's The Children of Captain Grant in 1873, and Verne again with Journey to the Center of the Earth in 1877. I owe a debt of gratitude to John F. Dooley's Crypto Fiction webpage for his compilation of fully 390 titles. The author page hasn't been updated since 2012, but it is the most complete list I've found so far, and it's unlikely that the history portion that I'm interested in from the 1850s to 1939 will ever be updated very much further. Okay, for my third category of videos, I'll have an episode number plus F. In this series, my plan is to pick 1 or 2 ciphers, maybe more later if I like the puzzle or I like the story, that relate to the main video. That is, if I'm looking at rail fence, then I want to cover a fiction story that contained rail fence. In this case, I'm looking at Lloyd C. Douglas's 1929 Magnificent Obsession. The Magnificent Obsession cipher was repeated in Douglas's 1939 prequel, Dr. Hudson's Secret Journal. But before that, I need to lay a little groundwork. Ciphers in fiction tend to first appear as unknowns. That is, we're not told anything about the cipher because the protagonist is discovering it for the first time and he has to struggle through it at the same time the reader does before we actually get results. But it is possible that we might be able to solve the cipher by ourselves if we have enough experience. And if the author doesn't try to leave us in the dark along the way. Yes, I'm looking at you, Jules Verne. I saw what you did with the Journey to the Center of the Earth. Herbert Yardley introduced a few rules many years ago that I'd like to repeat here. 1. Never write on your original message. Make copies and always do your solving on the copy. 2. Make a file card for each message. On the card, give the message an index number. Write down the date you received the message and record everything you can about what is known about the message. How was it found? Who wrote it? Who was it intended for? What could the contents conceivably be about? That is it a love letter between a married couple, or could it be about something illegal? 3. Keep copies of any relevant related documents with the message you're working on, in case you need to access them quickly. Notebooks, scraps of paper found nearby, books a suspect may have been carrying with them when the message was found. 4. Don't throw away your materials when you're finished reading the message. You may want them later for a different related message. 5, and this is my suggestion, write the key and cipher type on the file card so you don't have to hunt for them if the sender sends more messages with the same key. Rules 2 and 3 are the really important ones because they give you options for attacking the crypt. There's a thing called probable word. In recreational cryptograms, we're often given a hint or crib, that is, a word or phrase we're told is in the plain text. If we can place the hint correctly in the crypt, we can use that to work backward to figure out part of the key or part of the system that was used. In the real world, probable words act in the place of a hint. This can help us with fictional ciphers as well, such as if the author includes the sender's or recipient's name in the message. In Jules Verne's 1888 800 Leagues on the Amazon, the killer writes a confession and encrypts it, but we're expected to find the key ourselves. Our probable words could include the name of the victim, which was Da Costa. Da Costa worked in a diamond company, so we could include diamonds, murder, and the name of the company the killer worked at. We don't learn the killer's name until the end of the story. We also need to know that the author of the message spoke Portuguese, but that Verne himself wrote in French for a French audience. Further, that if the Brazilian killer did not write in Portuguese, instead writing his confession in French for Verne's convenience, we really need to know that the French alphabet is 25 letters long and doesn't use the letter W. In other words, we need all the background information we can get our hands on. For the fictional crypt videos, I'll start out with a brief description of the author and the story, provide any probable words and any additional background information that would be useful in helping solve the crypt. Then I'll give you the cipher message, as well as opportunities to solve the video on your own as we go along. I hope you'll find this at least as much fun as I do. See you at the next book stand. Got questions, comments, or suggestions? Leave them in the comments below. Enjoyed this video? Then I encourage you to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. If you want to show further support, you can join us over at the Black Chamber Patreon page, where you can get access to more how-to videos and PDFs on solving the cipher types covered here, additional crypts to solve, and more. Links pinned in the comments below. See you at the next drop point.